Welcome to the Motley Croc Show. It is the 1st of November. God, I can't believe November's here already. And I've got Jeff behind the scenes, Reptile Nerd, y'all know him as. And I also have Brit Investigates coming in. But anyways, it's the post-Halloween show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and link in with Jeff. And we'll get started at the Manic Satanic. What's up, buddy? How are you? And
I'm good.
That's awesome. I cannot believe it's November already. I'm like freaking... It doesn't make any
Crazy
sense.
how fast it went by.
Yeah, I will tell you what's up, Michelle. I will tell you that they finally sent us a apology for all the fuck ups they did last show, where people couldn't talk to us or whatever. What's up, Michael? How are you, buddy? And I think that it was really ridiculous because Judy, what's up? Now we're getting our stuff in. Now people are able to talk to us, and it was weird because we were talking about some great stuff. We were trashing. We were talking about burning your house down with your kids in it. Your kids must be assholes. We really did it. Corey, what's up?
What's up, Corey? We missed you at the party, man.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him. I was kind of hoping he'd be there. I designated a bedroom just for me, you, and him, Jeff, but he never showed up.
That's cool, man. We'd pass him back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Roast him.
Little DP.
Hey, that's
but
awesome. He could take it.
He could. His cheeks are so big, we wouldn't be able to get all the way in. We're already starting off a little raw there. Little raw. People will be getting off, but yeah, I can't believe that.
$20. That's right, buddy.
Lips are lips. Dan, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up,
Dan? Was there. He was playing with our snakes.
Yep. Dan looked younger than I expected.
Craig, what's up? Yeah, Dan is a really young guy. He's in the what do they call that? The twink?
The twink stage. He's definitely got twink written all over him.
Yeah, he's still kind of a twinkle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. But anyways, yeah, I figured we talk about some cool stuff tonight. Definitely, I noticed some of the stuff you've been working on, flat earthers.
Oh yeah.
And then I was looking at both sides of it. I thought, wow, man, look at all these things that they try to say, and come on. And then skydivers trying to prove it. What are you doing?
Yeah,
how do you know when you're skydiving? How's that even work? How's that even work?
Was like the skydiving one was obviously fake. They were falling for an awful long time.
What's up, Heidi?
Hey, Heidi.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of falling for a long time to kind of show everything as it was like, it's whatever. It's absolutely whatever. But anyways, yeah, I'd love to get on that topic, and I'm hoping that we have a decent show. Post Halloween. I had a good time last night.
You the same.
Oh wow!
I have a live studio audience.
I heard a boop. I heard like a little boop.
You hear the bee buzzing?
I heard a boop. I think Bumblebee Tuna's behind stage.
Sweet.
Let's see here what we got. Dan said 22, but he looks 17.
That's right. You can make a lot of money in porn, Dan.
You could. You just we could just pull your dick out of the way and paint tits on your back, and you'd be all right.
Yeah. Prison porn.
Bumblebee Tuna, what's up?
Hi guys, how is everybody?
Good. I don't recognize you without your chops.
I know.
Well, I know, man. What's going on with that?
Still, my bangs are. I'll pull my bangs down this way. Is that better?
Hey, man. That was a badass costume. That was costume of the night. I love that.
Oh, I'm glad you.
Elvis Presley.
That was fantastic. It was a fun time.
Transvestite Elvis Presley. Yeah, it was really good. But anyways, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. Michael said, "What's up to you, Brittany?" If you're keep an eye on the comments now, because we can actually conversate with our crowd, and we won't be bumped off and kicked off and all the other bullshit all the time. Michelle said, "Hey to you too." A lot of people talking to you, Bumblebee.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Michael. Hi, everybody.
But I really like to get into some stuff. And for those of you that are new, if there is anybody new on the show yet, Samantha, what's up, my dude? Ask questions. Make sure you want to talk to us, because if you want to talk about things like aliens or spooks in the night or whatever you want to talk about, bring it up, because Brittany can touch on that too. And there's a lot of weird stuff going on out there right now. So
yes, there is.
What if it is a flat Earth? What if it is? What if it's just a big Monopoly board and the aliens are laughing at us? Taking dumps on the board. Those tsunamis, or when they're urinating on shit. You don't know, man. You don't know.
They run a giant record player, just going around and around and around. Did you watch that one video, the guy with the map that I sent you guys? That I don't know if I sent that one, but he was talking about how, because the Earth is flat on a flat paper map, that it's proof that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, what was that?
I had to comment on that one.
I think it's because, wait a minute, didn't he say that guy went up in space before NASA?
That map was from like the 1800s.
Yeah, but didn't he get up into the atmosphere?
I don't know.
No.
What, like a balloon?
But if you got up that high, yeah. But if you got up that high, right? If you see like when they launch or those guys, like there was a thing I was really interested in years ago when I was working in the bar business. I met two guys that were halo jumpers, and they were they were on leave. Halo jumpers are badass, dude. I'm sorry.
30,000 feet. And
you ain't nothing but a gnat on a dog's dick if you ain't a halo jumper. When they were showing the stuff that they do, and then I went and researched it, my God, they're jumping out of shit in space.
Yeah, they make us all look like pussies.
And I remember them talking about that. So I got back into the old videos and I was looking at the halo jumpers. And the whole circle, where it looks like it's folded up, is just a round part of the horizon. You got light reflection. There's so many scientific matters, that things would look different to the human eye that you can't even perceive or see in that distance to know. But at the end of the day, I really don't know. I'd like to think I know that we're a sphere. But, what if we're all just a program? So it could be just never ending. But some people get really serious about it, like they know this big thing.
Maybe that's what they mean by woke, out of the matrix.
No, that whole thing, don't even get me started. That whole thing is so ridiculous. I can't even touch on it. I won't even touch on it.
I agree with that too, Michael.
Get me all fired up.
No, you get fired up. What I think is funny is, the people we think are stupid think we're just as stupid, so it's just a big mess. But one of the things I really like about that is the humor of it all. But why does everybody want to find the doom and gloom? Why don't you just want to get up and enjoy the day, Jeff? Enjoy the day, ride the Harley, smoke some weed like you're doing, relaxing. Why do you want to get big? Oh, there's really aliens out there, and what they're doing is it's a big fucking game, and we're all going to die, and there's nothing afterwards. Nothing. So you just suffer in this flesh hell, and there's nothing. I mean, why do they want to do that to you?
Yeah, it's people are definitely upset, angry, depressed, sad, stupid. Everybody speaks it.
Comment, because this is point made. This is what we're dealing with.
That's funny, Craig.
The guy on the video, the flat map video, said that talked about the sun's orbit. You can't orbit a flat disk.
No, kind of impossible.
The whole orb thing kind of throws it off.
But if you just go back in history, it talks about how the earth was round. And even if you go by biblical terms, it talks about he sits above the sphere. Well, sphere is round, it's circular. Right. So there is documented history that people just kind of poo-poo, and just because it doesn't fit the agenda, so they push it aside for their theory agenda. And so it's like, there's proof there. And there's a guy that's on TikTok. You guys can find him. He actually puts a 360 camera, like hundreds and hundreds of feet in the air.
Yeah.
And he proves if the earth was flat, I would not be able to make a spherical image with my 360 camera. And he puts it up, it literally goes into a globe. And there's
you know what? It's hard to argue with flat earthers because everything you say, they either have an answer for, or they deflect and answer your question with a question or an unrelated statement, something that's got nothing to do with it. And it's frustrating. I used to work with a guy at Atomic who was a very, very virulent flat earther. He makes a lot of videos. In fact, there's a flat earth rap where he wraps himself in 2 alien masks about the flat earth. It's actually pretty funny. I'll send you guys a link.
Goodness me.
And I used to get this guy so upset that he would turn red like a tomato, and his freaking little veins in his neck and his head would start to pulsate, and he'd start screaming and whining and huffy. And I did it. I would do it all the time.
It's one thing to be like, listen, we all have theories, we all have ideas. And I think that a healthy conversation or a healthy debate is okay. But we have to all hear each other's takes, theories, opinions, whatever, and just say, okay, you can believe that way, but I just don't, and accept that. But they don't. And that's in many different theorists, including the ice wall theory. There's, all of these theorists, they are so gung-ho. There's the matrix.
David.
There's the ice wall theory. There's honestly conspiracy theories go on and on. There's the birds or drones. No such thing as a real bird. So they're all drones. They're all owned by the government.
Oh yeah. He also said that 9/11 was a hologram.
Oh, sweet God.
He has proof because there's a glitch in one of the planes. No, I'm good.
Craig, check your messages in Messenger if you're there, and Thank you, David. This shirt was given to me by Flavio. It's was one of our romantic dates when we were in Salem. He came in. He goes, "I got you this, bro," and I put it on, and I figured I'd wear it on the show tonight. It's nice. I feel like it looks, it's kind of sexy.
Boy.
Oh no, it's nice, man. It like feels all good on you and stuff. 9/11 was a hologram. That's awesome.
Yeah,
9/11,
by the way,
was done by the in-house shit. I love that. Princess Leia.
How awesome is that, dude?
Oh my god, I love it, dude. And you are totally like this big ass Star Wars fan, so I know that made you feel good.
I saw it and I was like, I have to have this right now. When it got
Thank you, Michelle. And I love his, and he loves it. She said she loves your shirt.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it.
I'm trying to keep up with everybody here. Dan, yeah, that plane magically transported into the building. That plane, when you get up on it, doesn't have any windows either. And what I found was interesting about all that stuff is you can pretty much hide whatever the fuck you want, first of all. But, in the beginning when I was watching it live, I remember my dad comes, he's like, get up. And I'm like, oh, man. It was weird because it was like the rapture came, because the next day there wasn't anybody out on the road. I was on the bike. I'm like looking around like, man. And then you have to double check and make sure my sister's there, because I thought they all went to heaven. And there was nobody there, and it was the rapture. I was like, holy fuck, everybody's gone. And what the coolest thing was is prior to that, now I'm sidetracked because I smoke weed. But prior to that mess, everybody was hating on each other, if you remember, beating each other up, hurting each other bad. When that happened, everybody got American flag on their window, and there were like eagles painted on billboards, and they were dragging people that just had darker skin behind vans. I mean, they all came together. It got ridiculous that people were dragging darker complected people behind trucks and stuff for something that we did. We did it. It wasn't anybody. I always believed that was an inside job. Always.
Okay, and that's fair enough.
I always believe it because there's no way. We're not that stupid, man. There's no way.
It's more interesting, even though that I most definitely think it kind of went down like we think it went down,
and that's okay.
Yeah, now I'm high and I lost my train of thought. Derailed right in the middle.
But Jeff, hold on.
Really
but what I want to say is that Brittany's texting a lot because I can't see her eyes. And second of all, before I have a special guest I'm going to bring on in a second, but when you really go back and look at it, you can see the live footage that they showed, right? You never saw the bodies landing on the roof. They actually had time to airbrush that all out. They also said that it was so hot up in there that everything was melting, but yet other footage that they didn't show you, then when you have that woman on the edge waving for help and papers weren't burned up and it was nuclear, but all the metal had been melted, you have to think about that technology as well. It's a lot more than flying a plane. And the fact that I know how big a 747 is, and most jet airliners, to run into the Pentagon and leave something the size of a possum hole makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, and it disintegrated along with all the footage. And I want to welcome to the show Mr. Craig Warren, because I always have to bring him in when I can grab him because I love to hear what he has to say.
How you doing?
I'm live. How are you doing, man? You hanging in there?
Yeah, busy.
Busy. So what do you think about the flat earth stuff?
I don't when I get up in the morning, it looks flat, but I mean, geez, I don't know how anybody can think the earth is flat. I don't get it.
Like I said, I agree with that. I just really do.
An intelligent person, Craig, in my opinion.
But how would you really know? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you would really, I don't even know, because there's so many theories now of us being so many different things. Like we're in a hologram, or we're in a program, we're glitching sometimes. So I don't even know what to think anymore, but maybe in the program they did it. It's round in the program. So we believe it is. Like we're all a bunch of Sims.
Craig,
he's a hand. He always has to come on whenever I'm on the show.
Mr. Hand, look at that. That's awesome.
You know how they say, owners start to look like their dogs?
Well, I think it's the other way around.
I'm gonna get little glasses.
What are you doing?
You know what? You could have come, Dan. Corey could have come as an Earth. He could have been a round earther. We'd have dressed him all in black, and we would have cut his butt cheeks out of the back of that thing, painted the Earth on it. He could have just been the Earth in space. That's it, Corey. We're going to get you a black cat suit. We'll cut your ass cheeks out of it. We'll put a bunch of white dots on it, and you can just be Earth in space for next Halloween.
Yeah, but
I think it'll work.
Has them in the middle.
I think it'll work, man, and it will. It'll have the Grand Canyon right through the center of the Earth. So pick the area that you don't like and cut right down that section. Yeah, but I mean, there's so much to that weirdness. I have no idea. It's like people that listen, man. They're religious people. I'm going to look into the camera when I say this. That don't believe in dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my head around that. That
the
devil put those there so that we wouldn't believe in God. And I heard someone say the government put them there to take us away from God. That's even weirder than the devil did it.
Mm-hmm.
So to take us away from God, but there was no men when the dinosaurs were alive. So that's the fucked up part.
I know, isn't that weird? But I mean, they put them there so we wouldn't believe in God, and they teach this stuff.
Actually,
which is weird because in the Bible it does. The reason I'm so screwed up is I went to we can just have to lick my lips here, an independent fundamental Southern Baptist school when I was in elementary school and junior.
That had to be awesome, man. Swinging snakes around.
That's why I'm so nuts now. But
I love it.
There was an interpretation, and when King James interpreted things with his writings, he screwed everything up. And there's a verse, and I don't remember what it is. It says there were great whales upon the earth, which at that time the whales that would have been just big animals. So even in the Bible, there's a mention of dinosaurs.
You know what? Now that you touched on that, I remembered. Listen, and Craig, you're going to understand this because there's probably not anybody else right now sitting here that has experience with massive crocodiles like you and I would have, right? So, especially on a hot day, they build all that pressure up. And I got to point to this, which just listen. And then they, how they open up and they go, and they let that loud, boisterous scream out when they're pissed off, or they grunt, and it looks like there's a mist or a spray. So in the Bible, it talks about the behemoths of the Nile that breathe like smoke and fire, smoldering fire. If you don't think that those were massive Nile crocodiles, I mean, think about it. The behemoths, dragon-like creatures, they were crocs. And they were basically, that's, the theory, you've seen that little fog come out of their mouth or that little pressure. Like when you're a kid and you hold your breath as hard as you can and push and then let it out of your mouth. Looks like you're breathing out in cold air. It's the same thing. I see crocs do it all the time. And so, a behemoth in the Nile, they're talking about something huge living in the Nile. So there was clearly still prehistoric things roaming, obviously. So, and isn't there an extinct croc from 2,000 years ago that was on the Nile?
Oh yeah. Just recently I saw an article on that. There was the Nile was not the king at one point in Africa. There was a much larger crocodile.
Yeah, and it went extinct. And they were finding skulls that were there's Nile crocs that don't exist anymore that I saw appear in the mummy exhibit up here in Tampa when they did that, where the mummies and they had mummies and their pet crocodiles were mummified there. Some of them wrapped when they're young. You can look it up online, guys, and see it. But you can look at those skulls, and man, there's not much evolution between the Niloticus today, and that particular species as well. There's just not. So that's dinosaur to me.
What is a Niloticus, Troy?
What's that?
I said for the lay people. What is
Nile crocodile, the eastern Nile crocodile. Yes, the eastern Nile. Yeah, there's two. There's the western and the eastern. The Sucus.
East Nile, West Nile rap war going on, or
just like that. Well, you got the Madagascar croc at the Sucus, and it's a lot smaller. If I'm correct, Craig, they're a lot smaller than the actual easterns. Yes. Yeah. So, and they're darker looking. They're a little more wild looking. But when Christ was 2,000 years ago, I think. Can you imagine what the crocs and some of the species were like 2,000 years ago in the Niles? And think about what was there. So to say that dinosaurs weren't a thing, just look at cassowaries.
What about the bones? the thousands and thousands of bones and full skeletons they found.
I told you the devil put them there. I'm not going to tell you again, man. It's satanic. They put them there so you wouldn't believe in God.
Yeah, no.
Because following dinosaurs makes you want to follow Satan, right?
It worked.
Oh my God, a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I want to worship the devil now. I just saw a Brontosaurus. I never could put the two together.
See, I feel like Tyrannosaurus Rex was kind of a dinosaur joke with those teeny little hands.
Exactly, dude. But there's that, so there's a lot of that out there.
It's kind of weird. What did he do with those arms? That one senator said he couldn't masturbate. Technically, he's right. He couldn't. But what the hell did they do with those damn little arms?
That's not necessarily true, Craig. Because
Craig,
Tyrannosaurus hung. he just might have been able to reach it.
Yeah, hey, we don't know how long it was, do we? There's no telling.
We have not found a dinosaur dick bone to date.
If you look at bones in general, you want to talk about like the evolution. Do you know there's one other animal that has a kneecap. You know what that animal is? People think it's a monkey.
No.
A kneecap? I'm going to say rhino.
No, elephant.
Elephant. I was close, kind of.
Yes, sir. So if you look at their bone structure and their rear legs and the way they move compared to humans, it's very similar, which is really weird. All right. So there's some sort of blueprint. And then I always wondered how in the fuck was a hyrax related to an elephant, Craig?
God, you got me. I'm with you on that.
Legit. It's legit, but how is a hyrax related to an elephant? I would believe like, rhinos are a little more. Their nose turned to keratin or whatever the years, but a hyrax? Come on, dude. I don't know. That's just crazy. But I always wondered what the purpose of a kneecap was. And why only
happened one time the earth was flat and all these animals, something went crazy and they all rolled over one time and died and blew the earth up, so now it's round. That's my best guess.
That could be it. Or it hit in the middle, right? And when it hit in the center, just rolled up. So it's not really round. It's round, but like more like an onion. It's got the tip. And that must be the ice wall they think they run into.
Well, some of those dinosaurs have pea-sized brains. How long would it take for one of them to walk right off the edge? That's how they became extinct. One has followed.
Well, to throw out some really interesting things, there's scientists that are now claiming that dinosaurs were alive during the time of man. And there's proof of this all the way up into the 15th and 16th century in medieval tapestry of actual gentlemen writing on dinosaurs. And
that's all that.
And that's legit. It's been dated. It's accurate. And now, mind you, the first dinosaur bone that was discovered was between 1920 to 1940. So in the 15th century, they would not know what a dinosaur was unless they actually saw one like in person.
That's
in
true.
the 1930s, there were multiple explorers that went to the Congo in Africa to actually look for a dinosaur that is still known to date by the locals there because they have said multiple times it is not a crocodile. This thing stops the flow of water. That is basically why it's named that, because whatever this is, when it goes across their riverbeds, it stops the flow of water.
Man, there could be crocodiles that big. Don't kid yourself.
No, but they were saying based off the crocodiles they know and live with, the villagers there, it is not a known crocodilian species. And when shown a picture or photograph of a particular dinosaur, whether it's a sketch or whatever, they always pick the same one. Doesn't matter how many times over.
Well, I've got a perfect example of how they know what dinosaurs look like, Brittany, with tapestry or whatever, where they showed the Tarzan-looking guys riding brontosauruses. Is that the one you're referencing?
No, this one actually has, it's
like a whole bunch of people.
No, this one is a medieval. So it's like they're heading off to war and they're actually all dressed in medieval. It would be in like army attire, what they've been wearing for war attire as they were transitioning over to a new land in England, like in a part of England where they would have been transitioning. And then there's also another one that's in Japan, I believe it is, that also has the same type of pattern tapestry with a different type of dinosaur that they too are riding.
Okay, so I told you I have the example for that. We've already invented time travel, and we just take those back there so we can prove that the dinosaurs really lived,
yes,
even though they didn't because the devil put them there. That's how it is. They time travel and they give them pictures.
Yeah.
I want to go back in time and kick my 20-year-old self in the ass.
Well, here's a great example, Craig. You'll remember the story of what was it? What was the name of that place that turned to ash when that volcano went through there?
Pompeii.
Yeah, when they first released the stories of Pompeii, it's a big sex place. That's all it was.
Yeah.
It was a huge meeting to have sex and have a good old time. A sex place. That's what it was. You could be playing with dogs. You could be messing with men and women and orgies and whatever you wanted. That place was like that. But when they first opened it up, I was watching this whole thing on it. They didn't want to show that to the general public. So they were doing the story on it, but they were hiding things that they were finding. Now you can see what was carved into the walls, so you could go to what room, pull the dong, come through the third door, tickle, tickle. But I mean, it was all shown there, and they explained everything. And then they took some of those bodies that were singed up, and they put them together, and they found out that a lot of those were the same sex. And some people were caught in the act and just turned to ash, probably didn't know in the heat of the moment. But now they released it. But they didn't early on for some reason. They were keeping that hidden, just like the dinosaurs, so that we wouldn't believe in God. I'm trying to tell you.
Well, there's always agenda.
People think dinosaurs aren't real, man. It's fucking weird.
Nothing to do with the agenda of pushing that God isn't real. Like, I never understood that. That's the same thing with aliens. Well, if aliens are true, there's no God. Well, what the hell made the aliens then? There's something greater power that made the aliens that made us. So it doesn't matter at the stature. There's something greater that still made something else. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
A lot of them were riding like mastodons and things too, weren't they?
Where?
Because those things were around 2,000 years ago, I think, right? I could be wrong on that. I don't know. But weren't they about 2,000 years ago when they went extinct, those big hairy elephants?
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean technically in the time of Christ?
It was relatively, yeah.
In the time of Christ, when the Jews were killing everybody over there, running shit.
What we do, man.
You don't think they used a couple fucking
And we do
hairy elephants did?
We actually are the reasons why we killed them off. It wasn't nature select. We did it by over hunting.
Isn't there like cave paintings of like I guess caveman, for lack of a better word, like hunting things that look like mastodons, and then kind of missed a glow or whatever else. So I have seen that. That's interesting.
Those are everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah. The Mayans even talked about.
Yeah, but you can swim in there. You can do the Hillsborough River here in Peace River and pull up a mastodon molder or a tusk. It's not that long ago, you know. What I always thought was cool that there was alligators that lived in the swamps of South Dakota. And I've seen the skulls there in the museums, and that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
What's interesting is, though, Craig, is they weren't very big like you would think. You know what I mean? They were like, you know, the largest, some of the skeletons that I looked at, the skulls that I could see, you know, out of the 20 or 30 that were there in the museum were maybe 17 to 20 inches. That's not very big compared to what we have here. So I'm sure it was a different version of I don't think it was a Mississippiensis at all. I think it was a different version. But if you think about it, man, that's kind of neat because alligators in South Dakota is weird.
I'm going to come out and tell this is exactly how I feel. I'm not.
You stay in there. Don't come out and tell anybody anything, Snuffleupagus. Chill out. So David put Snuffleupagus on there, and we're not going to tell Brittany's story about Snuffleupagus.
No. Anyway.
She doesn't want me to tell, Craig.
No. So anyway, you know, in truth.
Oh, what's up, Holly? Holly's here.
Hi, Holly. Our history is written with an agenda. And every so many years, our history books and everything keep getting rewritten. Things get taken out, replaced, what have you. So it's almost like everything we were taught as kids isn't true in regards to whatever they want us to know in history. So when reading about history or any documents throughout history, you really have to keep an open mind and understand that not all of it is true.
Yeah, like Jesus has children walking around on this planet, by the way.
Huh?
Jesus has children walking around this planet, by the way. Not Jesus' children in the church form. Listen, he was tearing them up, man, when he was here. There is some lineage from him, and they left that out of the Bible, and you know it. Holly's here, and she left this really cool comment. But it says, so I'm assuming that Holly's NZ is New Zealand, correct? Is that where you're coming in from, New Zealand? Because if so, the animal that's indigenous to New Zealand, for those of you that don't know, is the tuatara. And that is not even classified as anything here but a dinosaur. So if you ever get a chance to see one of those for real, Holly, take a picture. We would love to have you send it in for us for the show. But the tuatara is an awesome animal, and it's only in New Zealand. And I think that's really cool. It's really cool.
I don't know how big they get. Those things get big.
Yeah, how big they get, Holly? I mean, you obviously know because you said sure, so you're aware of it. So what's the length on them? I mean, what, 2-3 feet? I mean, that's big because they're bulky like the cyclura, Craig. So I just look at big black Bambi eyes they have. They're coolest looking things.
I saw a picture of one recently. I don't know. I mean, it had to be, you know, like, and I mean, that big around or so. I was like, wow.
Right.
I thought they were like maybe this or so. And they get good size.
She said they're so endangered, nobody really gets to see them. Yeah, the only place that I know that they have them is in California. That I know there's a couple other places, but where you can see them there, where they keep them on loan from the New Zealand government, just like the Fiji iguanas and stuff. I mean, you know, the countries own those animals. But yeah, that's really cool. And she said they're nocturnal. That's really cool. She knows a lot about them. So in New Zealand, off topic, do they teach you guys that stuff about your rare animals there? Like, is it something like they talk about that? Because I can think. That's right, San Diego. That's right, it's in San Diego.
You know,
they teach you about that stuff because they don't really do that here that much. They teach other dumb stuff like Florida Man and left-wing politics. But at the end of the day, I just was thinking along the lines that it was they don't. Okay, they don't. So you got to go learn. That's kind of cool, Craig.
Honestly,
I don't think that stuff's neat.
you have to go learn for yourself. You're not
That's
going
how
to
to
hear
kill
about
pests.
really cool parts of
Sucks.
history in school or in a book
I'm
that
with
you
you.
get online. You literally have to go learn all of this history by yourself.
Right.
You do, unfortunately, because you're not going to hear it from anybody else.
You ever listen to Hardcore History podcast?
Mm-mm.
Dan Carlin, great.
We'll have to do that.
Yeah, Hardcore History is awesome. Really cool. And it's interesting. It's not like dry.
Do you know that we're also very related within the 90 percentile to cats? So when they want to talk about evolution, it's like it's like 92 to cats, 94 to cows, 96 to
Appreciate it,
pigs,
Michael.
and it's like
That's crazy.
98 to
You know what's funny about that is I can't walk by a ball of yarn without just freaking out.
Oh, there's your percentage. See, the inner youth coming out.
The inner youth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think that's you have to learn that.
Walmart in the yarn section without breaking out.
Freaking out, man.
I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, we have our exclusive thing here in Florida is that I won't tell you that one. But I'll come up with another one. Oh, here's a good one. The only place in the world that Crocs and Gators live together is here.
True.
And you know what I always thought was cool about that, Craig? They don't intercross. Not that I know of.
No, they don't.
Can you imagine having an alligator Nile cross? God dang, that would look like Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant Crocodilian. Yeah, no, those I love going to see those American crocodiles, man, at Flamingo. That's one of my favorite things to do. Every time I'm down there,
Goddamn right, Samantha.
right at sunset.
Yeah, they are badass on it. You're talking about Flamingo. Yeah, most people who know, they know, you know.
Huge. Absolutely huge. And they float with all their scoots out of the water. You can just tell it's a big crocodile coming. They're pretty fucking cool.
Hey, Facebook user.
Hey, we got Facebook. I made it for tonight's show. Great. I don't know who that is, but you can type your name in there so we can know who you are.
Yeah.
Unless you want to remain Facebook user.
Or anonymous.
Let's see. Is that Delana maybe? Or
It says, I made it for tonight's show. You didn't have to, though. Just so you know, you guys don't have to make a Facebook. You can go right to YouTube and just go to the page, the Motley Croc Show. I don't have it. It's wide open to the public. And if you see the red circle up here, just click it. It's live. You can go right there. You do not have to go to Facebook if you don't want to.
It's Rachel.
What's up, Rachel?
Hey, Rachel.
David's here. Speaking of Florida, man, I watched NASCAR. Did everyone see the move Ross Christian did Sunday? Who was fighting? I haven't got a chance to watch NASCAR in a while, so.
It just makes me busy.
David sent me something. Some guy.
Hey, that's great. I'm glad you're here, buddy. What's that? Say that again, Craig.
Or something. David sent me something on Messenger about NASCAR. A guy, I guess, in the last lap, he totally put his car up against the wall, and they go to the steering wheel of Florida, and the car went all the way against the wall with sparks flying out and everything, and he went around everybody and crossed the finish line. It was pretty cool.
Oh, so
I'm
man,
sure
he just fucking straight up blast. Who cares about the car? Killer.
Yeah, I'm sure his owner loved that. Now the car's screwed, but you gotta win.
You know, I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I like.
But that's a smooth move right there, dude.
Yep.
Jeff Dan has
Nobody's ever going to do that again.
Brittany, did you like that video of the guy goes, I dare you to hit my car, and that motherfucker, he ran right into him, slammed him in the door. Did you see it?
I saw that.
Oh, man. I got to send it to Craig. So there's this guy like an SUV, go, dude, you hit my car, bro. And it looks like this dude backs up in a BMW. You know, he's got one leg in the car and one out, and he's yelling at this car. And the car just floors it, bro, and smashes him right in there with the door.
Oh, shit.
He's like, oh, it was great. It was like, be careful what you say, man. That's pretty vulnerable. You don't know who's driving that car. I mean, you're crazy. I dare you to hit me.
Yeah.
Leave yourself wide open like that. Man.
I think
and they're going to go to court, and the guy's like, well, he dared me, so, what can I do?
Yeah, it was like, and it was all on video. And then the guy smashes him, Craig, and he drives away.
My play.
And then the guy like limps out. He's like, oh, he limps out behind the car and falls because the door smacked just his one little skinny shin. It's pretty good.
He literally is.
Did you see it, Brittany? Did you see it?
I just watched it.
Great.
It's like swing away, buddy. You're pinned between the tree and the car.
I'm gonna move it. It's on my Instagram. I'll move it over, David, so I can try to get it to you over on Facebook for sure. What's that, Craig?
Do you guys ever watch the live patrol, the cops? When they have motorcycle chases, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm waiting, and I've seen two recently where a guy went through the intersection, he hit the back end of a car, and all you see is him flip 7 or 8 times and he bounced on the
He's gonna be
asphalt.
dead or a freaking vegetable, man.
Oh my god.
Oh no, he only did how I get with a broken arm. I mean, he was sitting on the ground. His arm was all different kinds of directions, and he's like, and the cop was like, "Are you okay?"
Like, I got a second chance. You think you died. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was
up his ass and get luck like that.
That is the coolest shit, man. Yeah, I get a lot of really weird stuff like that. I got some weirdo friends, man. Besides you, Craig. You send me some great stuff. You make my day. If I'm ever having a panic attack, I got to open up Craig's messages. And then it changes my mind.
So the last one is with the girl sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
the last one is with the girl sitting on the bench and somebody hits the car and the car runs. Oh my god!
The one I sent you.
Yeah,
I watched that video. Listen, I watched that video like 20 times because to me, it looks like it's a setup. And the guy saying his goodbyes, like, I love you, honey. Just have your ice cream. And he runs away and he kind of looks over his shoulder and this car comes out of nowhere and just smashes her like a cockroach right against the wall.
They're leaving. They're walking off. I'm like, what the hell? You can see they see the car and then they kind of jog a little bit and get out of the way. It's like, jeez.
She didn't. She was just about to sip her wine and it said, bam!
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. I sent that one to Brittany too.
Did you send that one to me too?
Yeah, of course I did. I mean, it wasn't blood and guts or anything, but it was just wild how it happened,
I'm always hesitant to open them because I never know. I'm always like, ooh.
No,
listen, there's some stuff that I found that I wouldn't send you, that I would only send Jeff and Craig and stuff. But there's stuff I find like that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember when I used to be on the old Flavio to Troy freaking picture thread for a while. I couldn't know.
Yeah, you got to be careful because Flavio's dad was the king. He would send us stuff that you just had to get down and bow for honor, man. There was listen, Flavio, I don't know how you're topping that one. You're not topping that one. Jake's got some good ones too. My buddy Jake on here, he comes across some stuff. So we kind of have, it's kind of like a game. We try to find the worst thing, but if I look at something and it's so bad it makes me laugh, I'll send it to you guys.
Yep.
Because you're already at a different level. Like some stuff's not even funny. You know what I mean? Like, but one of the good ones was somebody overdubbing all those prairie dogs laughing in the woods at each other. That kills me, bro. That kills me every time I watch it.
That's funny.
I can't stand that video. I could be pissed off and see that little one, and he's shaking, and I'm done. I'm done. It's the greatest video ever. But there's been some good ones. Like we found this one. Flavio's dad sent us one where these terrorists beheaded everybody, and they were playing football and soccer with the heads. I remember the one guy like drop kicked it, dude, and the neck string wrapped around his ankle. And he's trying to kick it off, and his other buddy runs and kicks the rolly head down the hill, and they're like, ah, with their guns and stuff. And I'm like, Flavio, we're not topping that, man. We're not. Whatever they just did there, we're not topping. That is rough. So
yeah, I got a buddy that likes to send. I don't know how they get these. I don't know who's filming them or why, but
God.
Like people falling off of radio towers hundreds of feet, and they hit the concrete and hear the noise. They bounce a couple of times, and I'm like, sometimes just go around the country and film people on radio towers or what?
I know, isn't that crazy? It's nuts, man. It's nuts. But you know what? The thing is we enjoy looking at that stuff.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Okay, you all do. How you eat. You guys all like to look at that stuff.
Everybody likes to look at catastrophe. You can't help it. When something happens that's funny or somebody does something outlandish, it makes my day.
Why do you think people watch NASCAR?
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, for the wrecks.
We have some shit energy. When Flavio and I are together for some fucking reason, shit happens that should never happen any other time. And I'm not kidding you when I say that. Stuff, and I have to look at him and go, I can't believe it. Because if you weren't here to see that with me, nobody would ever believe that just happened. There's just no way. So
I know
I
how
start
that
filming
is.
stuff like that with when we get them,
Yeah, I always tell people if you want to pass the hat around and give me some money, we'll start a website called thedumbestshithappenstome.com because I could keep it filled with shit. But every day something weird happens to me. Just minor stuff to like seeing stuff like that, bad accidents and stuff like that. It's just.
Yeah, you see a lot of weird things. I don't like when someone has a bad accident, there's nothing you can really do. There's not a lot of funny to that. But when somebody does something really stupid, dude, and you know that it's just a dumb idea and they really get trashed, it's hilarious to me sometimes. Like fucking with big animals. I love nothing more than to watch. And I got in trouble for it one time on Facebook because I reposted something and everybody's all fucking sensitive. I love it when an animal just mauls a person because they're dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I like. Now, there's a place where they worship bulls and shit. And I used it as an ad, Craig, you probably saw it for one of the Motley Croc shows. And it was this bull, and he was walking down the alley, and there was this old lady, like on an old hickory stick walker. And she swats at it like this, and that bull said, "Excuse me." Like, he looked sideways, and he said, "Whoa." I mean, he went up there, and he threw her. It looked like someone kicked a Kermit doll as a field goal. She flew up in the air and spun and landed and splatted down. Her hands were like shaking like this when she hit, because she was just 90 years old and trash when she hit that ground. But she fucked with that bull. And he looked at her, Jeff. You do, right? She gets all frustrated with him, and he was minding his business, and he just kind of looked over at her, and that was what caught my attention. He was like, fuck you. Oh, my God, here. They worship me, bitch. You're gone. And he knew it at that moment in his mind. He's like, I'm a god, and you're dead. Fuck you. And he did. He trashed that woman. And I laughed for about 15 minutes, and I made a video.
I like it when it comes from animals people don't expect it to come from. Everybody thinks they're just like big puppy dogs and stuff. Like, I know a guy who learned the hard way: never feed buffalo Cheerios. Because when you're out of them, you're screwed. You're screwed when you don't have any more Cheerios. And, buffalo can't look above their head. They can't see above them. They totally are like this. And I don't know the guy, but I knew a guy who knew a guy that was feeding buffalo out west somewhere, and an airplane flew over and spooked him because they didn't know what it was. They can't look up. So immediately the buffalo just ran right in and hit him and knocked him into his car and kind of scraped him all up his car. You learn the hard way, I guess.
Yeah, buffaloes getting fucked up is just. But I like it when animals realize they can do what they do, and they do terrible things. Like, when they start bullying them, and the tiger's like, "Okay, listen, you're done." Or I had sent everybody a video where the guy thought he was going to dance with a retic, and he wraps it around his neck, and it just kills him right there on the fucking circus.
He just freaking slow.
And everybody's like, yeah. They're clapping, and this guy's like pissing his pants, and he just went instant like dum dum. He's like, and they're like cheering him on. And then when this guys realize what's going on, Jeff, they run out there, and the way they grabbed his neck to carry him off, I'm like, what, are they trying to finish him? Did they do this on purpose because he doesn't want? I mean, what the fuck?
That video was freaking crazy, dude.
Have you seen the guy trying to kiss the cobra? That one's been going around lately.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh,
he's like, and it just bites him right on the lip.
Oh, what kind of cobra? Usually everybody uses the king because people are scared of kings, but kings are so predictable, man, the way they move. It's funny how people work them in it. You try doing that shit with an albino monocle, you might as well say, fuck it, it's over.
It was a smaller cobra. I don't recall what kind
of. Who cares? It's a cobra. Can you imagine what his life is like right now? I'm going to talk about lip injections. If he's still alive. But yeah, I think I have to admit some of the funniest thing is animal attacks for me. I absolutely get a kick out of it. Especially,
I like it
usually you see people whipping on animals. They play those in the arms of the angel, and they send videos out to make you feel bad for animals and stuff. And that bothers me. I don't watch that stuff. When someone sends me another animal being brutalized by another animal, I don't watch it. It's not.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah. I like to respect death. I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? Unless it's a person getting fucked up by an animal that they fucked with.
Yeah, I know nature happens. I know what happens. I just don't like watching it.
I saw some amazing. Me too, Craig. I'm with you. I saw some amazing videos from. Oh God, what's his name? Graham Webb, because he owns a saltwater crocodile farm, and he was visiting at Croc Fest. And he's like, I'm going to show you something, because he doesn't believe in the whole behavior thing. He'll tell you can't teach them things anything. When they're done, they're done. That's his mentality, and it was awesome. And he shows these videos of these salties just annihilating human beings. Out where they're not supposed to be in the water with their drinking their whatever by the boat. And they come up and they're huge. Can you imagine going like that?
No.
And Salty's hunting and pulling people out of tents. That to me is awesome.
Yeah.
That's like people forget about how intelligent elephants are.
Yeah.
So when you see these trainers whipping them, they never forget. And they keep that memory log. And when they get that moment to retaliate, they do. And I love it. I will sit there with popcorn.
Yes, a retic.
Smile on my face when I watch an elephant take down a trainer that has abused it for too long.
Bears do too. Some of the bears turn on their trainers. You ever watch videos of people mishandling venomous snakes in the wild and getting bit?
No, I will watch that because I bet it's crazy.
Oh my God, just people trying to put a snake in a bag and tailing it like a rattlesnake, and it just turns around and whacks them in the arm.
If it hurts somebody else, as long as it's somebody I don't know and care about, I don't care. Some of the funniest videos, folks, you're going to hate me for this, that I like are during parades when children run behind horses.
Oh, that's awful.
I'm sorry, Brittany. Some of that shit is so funny. I saw this horse kick a kid so hard his shoes were standing there, but the body was gone. He kicked that kid so hard, the shoes, because he kicked him backwards, he slid out of his shoes, and the shoes didn't even move. It like one went to the left, and the kid was gone. Just gone, dude. It was somewhere overseas. It wasn't in America. But this Andalusian just said, whack, and his shoes were sitting there like you would see in a cartoon.
That's
And I'm trying to sleep and I'm stoned. I'm going to laugh at that.
That's
Or kids, other people doing dance moves and kicking their kids in the face like nunchucking a 3-year-old. I'm sorry, man. It's funny.
There's like a good chance that kid survived that.
The horse kick? He did. I don't think he died or anything.
I mean, like most of those, the kid's going to survive.
He's a vegetable now, but he's ready to die.
I'm just saying, like, like at some point, those kids are fine, but it's still. I get mad at the parents because I'm like, why were you not watching your kid?
But this is the sad thing, though, man. Like everybody was worried.
Kid, this is a zoo.
Yeah, like when the gorilla had to take it, the life had to go for the gorilla. Come on, man.
Yeah, that shit's fucked up.
There's no proof that gorilla is going to hurt him anyways. We all know this. And then the man.
The gorilla wasn't doing anything.
He's minding his business.
No, I don't mean that. I'm saying he wasn't doing anything. The child. People are so uneducated when it.
Well, they were scared. They were just scared. Like we don't want to take the chance, right? And it was sad because.
I get that, but there's
apparently.
Thank you, Samantha. Agree.
They actually sent him back to Brownsville Zoo because that's where he was from originally. He was born and raised there, so he went back to the Brownsville Zoo, so I believe he's buried there, which I think that's really honorable that they do a graveyard for all their gorillas as humans. I think that's cool. But the man that had to shoot him, the game warden didn't want to shoot him. Apparently, from a story I was reading, he's having, he was not happy about that, and he's having problems that he had to take something like that. Like it bothered him almost like shooting a person. Can you imagine? Because they had to call the gorilla over to shoot it.
No.
And the primatologist had to make the decision to call him over, and that's horrible, man. I mean, at least that's the article I was reading. But I mean, so the person that had to make that decision, like there's a child there, I don't have a choice anymore. I think you're in the moment, like you're trying to value what life is more important, and definitely it was the gorillas, definitely, because I mean, there's enough people. I hate to say that for all you kiddies out there. You should not be dropping your kids over the edge. That just means he's going to grow up and breed more dum-dums. So in the essence, that beautiful silverback gorilla should still be here because all my friends have kids and they don't do that dumb shit.
No, but
they're taught.
Is that gorilla was extremely intelligent, knew its trainers well, and understood language. So it would have, and it didn't panic like it was going to tear this kid apart. This gorilla was like, "Hey, there's a kid here. So I'm going to grab him and I'm dragging him back to my den." Basically, he was taking him back. And if anybody would watch how gorillas actually handle their young,
they do it the same. That's how they do it.
Legs and they just grab him and come on, you're not where you're supposed to be. Yeah. He wasn't thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to slaughter this baby."
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Do it. He would have done it the moment the kid landed. Period.
Yeah, he would have done like a
they know, like their intelligence is spot on.
I know, but they get upset sometimes.
They do, and when I talk,
and then they would just rip the kid in half right there, throw his leg up over the wall.
No, but like even when I talk to my friend Ian Redmond, who handles, like he works with Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall, and he still works with mountain gorillas to date. We were discussing this, and he said, "Listen, if a silverback gorilla has a young that drops in like that, their immediate thing is, whose is this? They're looking around. Whose is this? Well, you don't belong here. I got to take you to somebody to fix the problem." And that's initially what he was doing. And so the fear of everybody screaming up top put him into a panic state of, why is everybody screaming? What's all the noise? There's somebody in here that doesn't belong. Like he wasn't processing, I'm going to rip this child apart. It was, I'm trying to locate where this thing comes from because this is not one of mine. And I need to put it away somewhere where it belongs. That was the initial instinct. Like people just don't, in a lot of zoological parks, do not understand the mentality of how social groups of gorillas actually function. The worst thing to do is separate a head gorilla, a silverback gorilla, from his pack. You're supposed to remove the older males as they get older, the sons, so that they can carry on and allow the grandfather to be around his grandchildren. When you remove him from that, I was educated that it actually makes them extremely depressed and they feel that they have no purpose to live anymore. That's why when you see them sitting solitary alone in an enclosure by themselves, they're actually depressed because they are no longer with their family.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't do that anymore. There's some really, really strict rules about gorillas, especially with the AZA zoos. And for anybody attached to the AZA, they know that. They don't do that anymore, but they used to. And it was really bad. They didn't touch them or anything. And they found gorillas need to be touched. They need to be caressed, touched, and in groups and loved. Touched just like you like to be touched, Jeff.
I do like short a lot.
It's just sad. Like you sit there and you go, some of those gorillas had to suffer through that process to learn that. And they went into deep depression because that's just how they work.
I got one thing on Facebook, and it was a little while where this, because we were talking about stupid decisions. Listen, I don't like, I shouldn't use the word I don't like because someone's going to take that the wrong way. Macaque monkeys are not my favorite monkeys to work with, be around, or love. Now, I know Justin loves macaques. It takes a special man to deal with what he does, okay? It just does. It's not worth it to me. I've dealt with them, and I'm telling you right now,
nasty, man.
I don't give a good goddamn who you are. When he decides that he's taking you down, that little 40-pound monkey will rip a 300-pound man to the ground, destroy him. I don't care. Yeah. So to me, I think it's not worth it. I'm not doing it. It's slapping its belly. I'm not even walking over there. He's pissed. I saw a video, Craig, where this guy he was pissed off or whatever, and he decides that he was going to take a piss in front of his car. And this macaque monkey said, "No, you're not." And he grabbed onto that ding-ding with his mouth and running down that fucking slide on that parking lot with that guy's penis in his mouth. And when they caught up, it was tore like there was a tear in his stomach, tore the whole thing off.
Oh, Jesus.
And Facebook took it down. So at the end of the day, I'm thinking, man, how stupid. And people were laughing, they're like, oh, this guy's got a sex change now and blah, blah, blah. He did, but not in the way that you want to be. I mean, why would you think it'd be okay to take your dick out in front of another grown man, which is a monkey? All they do is shit in their hands and throw it at each other and jerk off all over the place. That's the only two things they play with is shit and dicks. Why would you take yours out and risk it being in the air around a macaque?
Right.
So he deserved it.
I don't do monkeys. Did I ever tell you about when the spider monkeys got loose at Gatorland?
Yes, you did, kind of briefly, but not with them. So you should tell it again. It's a great story.
No,
we had a 15-year-old it was 15 or 16. He shouldn't have been doing maintenance and cleaning on the animals because it was back then. It was considered a dangerous job, and I'm sure it still is today. He forgot to lock the cage, and now today they have parakeets in that giant cage, but they had 3 spider monkeys in there. One of them was named Blackie. She was black. The other one was named Fatty because she was born there, and she grew up on ices and hot dogs. I mean, she was just gigantic. She was huge. And then the other one, Sarah. Sarah was a bitch. Sarah didn't like anybody. She couldn't stand
was Sarah? I know a lot of them like that.
Sarah. So this kid forgot to lock the door, and it was me. On the weekends, it was just me. I did the show. There was one maintenance man, and there was another guy that came in a little bit early. And these spider monkeys are running all over the place. They are everywhere. Blackie, she was very old. She just came up and gave me a hug, so I picked her up and put her in her cage. Uh-huh. Fatty, we went and got a hot dog and lured her back into the cage. But Sarah would not go. She would not go. And she's like hanging off. She's on the walkway. She's got her tail wrapped around the post, and she's hanging off. And all the gators are down there. They're, oh yeah, a little bit more, and I'm getting that monkey. So Mitch was the guy who had no experience. He was like selling fish at the fish stand. That's all he did. But he happened to be there. So Sarah turns around and he puts his hands out, and she grabs his hands and she crawls down on the walkway. And he's like, "Oh, that's a good girl." And he leaned over and she grabbed him. He probably weighed about 145 pounds. She grabbed him and turned him right over onto the ground and opened up that mouth, and she was getting ready to bite his face. And me and Eric grabbed her on each side. And I mean, yeah, I don't look like much, but I'm wiry. And Eric was a pretty good fight. It took both of us to get that monkey off of him to keep him getting bit in the face, and it was not easy to do.
Oh, and man, being bit by a spider monkey would suck.
Oh, she was, her arms were like that. So the muscle movement, she was strong. Eric and I were going like this, and she's trying to get away from him, and I grab her, and she's trying to get away from me. It was a wrestle. I mean, it was bad.
There's a video of me and Justin playing with a baby spider monkey, like a young one, like probably like I don't know, just under a year. She got rowdy, bro, and she would get super excited, like overstimulated. And she would jump back and forth to me and Justin really fast. And then she grabbed my beard so hard I thought she pulled it out. and then thought it was funny to bite my jawline and then run off. I mean, I was like, Jesus, if this had been an adult, I would have died. I mean, she was just being funny, but they're strong. Like, they're strong.
Extremely strong.
They're cool, though.
Monkey
She was a neat little monkey. I think spider monkeys are awesome. I think they're just a really cool monkey, man. Like, they're just badass. I remember we saw a bunch of them in Belize, flying around down in the whatever park they had there. It was the zoo. And then we saw the wild howler monkeys, man. That was awesome, Craig.
Oh, I bet, dude.
These little tribal people call them down. They're like, yeah, la, la. They do something like that. And then all these giant, big-headed, canine tooth
they're scary.
Monsters come down, dude. And you're like, holy shit, that's rad. What's that? What was that, Jeff?
Oh, they're scary animals, the howler monkeys.
Yes. Look at, for all of you that don't know, just look a skull up on Google and look at how wide their mouth and how big it is when they.
Have you ever watched Naked and Afraid? When they're in the jungle,
yep.
Howler monkeys start going off, man. They
piss on people and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, they're wild, dude. They're wild. But macaques, they take the cake. Macaques are, I'm telling you,
they're scary.
Those guys are roughnecks. They give no fucks.
The animal he's got to me, I would not fuck with those things. When I was in Southeast Asia, they're all over the place there.
I bet.
And they come down and they steal your shit, and then they taunt you with it. They took this guy's sunglasses, and the macaque's sitting there going like this with his sunglasses, like putting it over his eyes. And, they were like taunting him.
Didn't I send you that video? The macaque that's missing that arm. He's kind of big, and the guy was feeding him, and this other person walked by that he didn't like, and he kind of looked up and he went like that to him, like, "Get the fuck out of here!" I sent you that video, right? He did it like a person. He was like sitting there, and he looked at the guy, and he went like that to him, and it was the end. They go watch till the end, and it was the way he did it. It was like a little person. I know I sent it to you. I just send them long streams because there's just so many funny shit comes on at night. I just like Jeff, Brittany.
I wake up in the morning.
Jeff, Brittany, Jeff, Brittany. I try to send them so you can laugh in the morning.
I do, man. It's awesome.
Some of them are great.
Have you guys seen like a full mature bonobo?
Yeah, they have them at that zoo. Yeah,
they
look like an ugly chimp, a bonobo.
They look like a human without it is almost creepy how ridiculous they look. They look like a chimpanzee human crossbreed, like the experiment the Germans were doing.
They are.
Because
they are.
Dude,
I saw a picture. I saw a picture recently. I don't know if it was real or not, but I think it was. I can't say that word. One of those chimps. But he had was it alopecia where you lose all your hair?
Yeah.
And it looked like a dude that had been working out for years. I mean, he was cut. It looked just like it was unbelievable.
Exactly.
That's 100% real. That is exactly what they look like, and they are intense.
I understand that the chimpanzees they go to war and fight other troops, and then they even do a little bit of cannibalism here and there, from what I've heard.
Bro, listen, y'all watch that documentary, Rise of the Warrior Ape? Come on, Craig.
I'll show.
You got to get ready to watch that. You're going to be blown away at some of the stuff that 25 years to film, and those particular chimps grew relationships with those cameramen and stuff. Like they knew shit was going to go down. This motherfucker be sitting in the bushes, man. This chimp. And he would like a person, he would look over at the camera guy and he'd go like this to him. And he'd start walking in the jungle and they'd go, fuck up these other monkeys. And I'm thinking, I look over, I'm like, holy fuck, that monkey just told that bitch, come on, we're going to film this. Come on. And they followed him in there. You have to see it, man. And they kill this monkey. They rip this monkey to pieces in a circle. And like warriors, they hand this piece of the monkey to this one. And this guy they were sharing their food, man. Their kill, like in a tribe. And then it went from a few to a bunch. And I'll tell you what, bro, that was the coolest shit I've ever seen.
That's pretty bad.
It was violent, though, and you feel bad for some of the little monkeys. But, dude, it was Craig, bro.
Yeah, I've heard they're really, really vicious.
Called The Rise of the Warrior Ape. Took them 25 years to film it. They just released it like a year or two ago, the documentary. Bro, watch it, Craig. You'll love it. It's one of those things. You'll be like this. What you just want to be like, what's next? What the fuck?
I'll have to show that to
worshiping places where they go to worship and stuff.
See if you guys can see the muscles on this one. You can kind of. Can you see the muscle definition?
Yeah, look at him. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's how Jeff looks. He's naked. So yeah, I've seen that before.
Almost, but more hairy.
They're just incredible. Like the females when they stand
in the
up.
Documentary, yes.
Crazy.
No, but I would watch that, Holly. What's that on? Is it on Netflix or something like that? Put it out and let us know. I'll go. We'll love to go watch that.
Absolutely.
Surviving Death.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool.
Surviving Death. It's a documentary series. Maybe it's only released in where you are.
Thanks for reminding me. Del Toro just came out with an incredible 8-part series, 1 hour each, on Netflix. The Cabinet of Curiosities, I think is what it's called. If you're into horror and like kind of twisted, weird crap, Del
Thank you,
Toro,
Holly. It's Netflix, folks.
they're incredible. Surviving
There was a show similar to that,
Death.
Holly, that was released here called I Shouldn't Be Alive. And there was a fisherman in Mexico, if you remember too, Craig, if you ever watched it. Anytime there's a crocodile attack, we all see it. An American croc attacked him, remember? And he was stuck in the head. And the croc kept swimming with him. And every now and then he would come up and he would float up and the guy would breathe. And he just thought, I'm dying. But he got his hand inside there and got the animal to release him. But it grabbed his head and it would like dip down and hold him and then swim up to get its own air. So he would take a breath while he was trying to figure out. Did you ever see that? And he's got holes all through his face. Yeah, he was like, it was in Mexico, and he was like, I was just fucked. And it turned out, and later on exposed that it was an American, because I'm thinking Mexico, maybe it's a Morlets, maybe it's Morlets. But those things are huge too in the wild, by the way, Morlets crocs. I'm telling you, they have big old fat, wide, huge heads. What's that?
Do you guys think that there could be a type of crocodile that could range at such a decent size that would almost seem not realistic existing, but kind of more mythological, that people just are claiming they see, but because science hasn't been able to trap it because they're extremely intelligent. I mean, could it really be out there? I mean, and the reason Gustav, yeah, like the reason I bring this up is because
I thought you were taking us over there to get him.
You might still be if you can go over there.
You better give me a goddamn anesthesiologist, because I ain't fine unless you put me out with the doctor.
Okay.
Put a diaper on me and put me to sleep.
Well, I will tell you there is still a real good teeth biting for that, like that idea.
I hope so. I hope that goes, because we'll be going to Africa to catch them up. That's gonna be good. Yeah. But go ahead. Big crocodiles like that.
By the way, there was a recent sighting of Gustav in 2021. So,
wow.
But they claim that he does have a very long track of where he travels to. But regardless of that, I'm curious because, from my research in regards to like the megalodon and large great whites, there are theories based off certain teeth that they are finding now from great white sheds and through megalodon sheds that they aren't really fossilized. They look like actual sheds, real sheds, current sheds. And there's been some element of truth of deciding, there could be a scientific trace pattern of water and life and survival that a megalodon breed could still exist today in deeper parts of our ocean, since we really don't know much about our ocean. So I'm curious if that could be also with crocodiles, like if there could be an offshoot that is carrying quite a pattern or a path, and it isn't seen very often or locally, that could be a really decent size discovery that could still exist. I don't mean like the ones from like Jurassic World. I mean, I'm just like a legit, even though that'd be badass, but just a legitimate larger specimen of crocodilian that could be out there, that isn't seen on average.
Well, that just means it would be cryptozoology as of now. And I mean, it's very common if you want to look at it on a logical level. I like when people come back, they're like, well, we really didn't see any big alligators. We saw a couple 8-footers and some 6-footers, because they didn't get that big from sitting around waiting for you to find them. I can tell you that right now. You got to be a sneaky, or you got to earn a relationship before a big alligator will come out and do that. You want to see the big ones? Go to Circle B Ranch. They know, those fuckers know that that's a sanctuary, and you can go out there any time of the day and take a walk and see a fucking monster out there. And I know they're in the Hillsborough, but they hear people coming and they're like, whoop.
Well said, Samantha.
And all the little guys are being cool with their legs all stretched out on the log, because they just don't know yet, man. They just don't know. So, yeah, I think there could be a gigantic crocodile out there nobody knows about.
Yeah.
Because they always come up with some crazy satellite images of a megalodon snake and all this kind of shit.
Oh, yeah, well, not all of those are real. But, the thing is like people forget about we have to adapt to survive. And as our Earth that is round, flat, has changed over the years, over the thousands of years, our wildlife and our marine life has to adjust accordingly. Warmer waters, cooler waters. I mean, we were finding sharks in certain parts of water where they shouldn't be, but it's because they were looking for food sources because their food sources had changed in the early 2000s. So we were finding new discovery there too. So to think that it's not possible is kind of crazy in a sense, just based on
more about space than the ocean.
Don't exactly.
So I agree with you.
That's my point. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yep.
Aren't they finding? I've seen some recent pictures of some good-sized great whites that are bitten in half by bigger sharks.
Yes.
They're thinking there might be a megalodon running around down there, or maybe some new species.
Dinosaur we don't know about.
Well, here's something really fun. There was a documentation of a great white. It was a smaller one. He wasn't very big. I think he was like 13 or 14 feet. A smaller male. They had documented they were
14-foot shark
for great white. That's relatively small.
Small.
Females get 18, 20. I mean, for a male, it was relatively small. And so anyway, I know that they had put a tracker in him and they were watching him for a long time. But at one point, he actually plummeted to a depth very quickly as if something had it.
I remember that.
Poured him in and left this beacon where they're like, we don't have the shark anymore. Something took it at rapid speed to a very deep depth. So it must have been something larger than that shark.
And stronger.
Right. Larger.
Or there's just like some sort of vacuum pull into an aquifer and it just got too close and said, whoop.
Could have been that too, but it was the way that it traveled.
Right, Craig? I mean, we have to have a scientific mind once in a while.
Well,
the earth is flat, so maybe there's a drain down there somebody pulled accidentally and
that's true.
changed the water.
They're going to wonder about that.
Listen,
I didn't get into that. You're right.
That the alien base need meat. So they just didn't think that they'd capture one with them.
Nope.
These underwater.
You should catch
I think the ocean's so deep and there's stuff down there we don't know about yet, stuff we haven't found yet.
I think it's great that squids come up and grab divers.
Oh yeah.
Crazy, man. There's
Fuck that shit.
But think about it. The giant squid was a legendary, mythological, superstition, sailors kind of mystical creature until it was discovered. It's the same thing with mermaids. This is my biggest battle with people. They're willing to believe in all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, like Santa Claus.
Mermaid. And so my biggest debate to anyone listening who goes, I just don't see how a mermaid could be real. Well, if you believe in evolution, if you believe in the theory of evolution, why wouldn't there have been something that didn't quite want to come to land, but evolved into something that was more human water-based? So really think outside the box and think about how things could have been. And as our land shifted, broke apart, people, animals, we were all losing areas to live, dwell, and adapt to. What if some of them adapted back to water, thus becoming a type of mermaid? So we do have to think about outside of the box possibilities of how things would have to evolve and adapt into the way that it is. Not saying that it wouldn't, I think we need to just step away. So when the sailors talked about mermaids or sirens, we have to sit back and go, they might have been.
They were dugongs. We know, buddy. Dugongs.
They were always saying this manatees like with long.
No, they were dugongs. I mean, when you're out there that long, you see a hole and stuff. You're like,
listen, these sailors knew the water and the sky better than anybody else. That was our main way of travel. So when they saw something out of the norm, whales would guide them. If you actually do historical documentation and journals from certain captains, they knew that there were certain whales that would come up and guide them to where they needed to go. There's documentations of that. So when they have this type of historical information, they were telling us about the giant squid when science was saying it's a lie, it's not real.
10,000 leagues under the sea.
How did the whales know where they were going?
Exactly.
Two things, like a funny thing and one of those amazing things to me is that you have to think of a depth, get it into your head for a minute, 8 miles straight down.
Yeah.
Let's think about how deep that is. Well, here's the best part of that story. You have squid that live down there, right? At that depth. And you have what's known as the sperm whale that takes a breath and swims 8 miles down and slams them off the bottom of the ocean floor.
That's awesome.
To eat those motherfuckers and come up with scars all on their face and bites from slamming squid like a hammer.
Yep.
They finally figured out what that was for. There's videos of it, Jeff, and you'll see that sub, and they got the footage, and the sperm whale's coming down at a rapid speed with the squid, and that big hump, bam, and you're so impressed. You're like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Who gives a shit about flying to Mars when this bitch just swam 8 miles to beat the fuck out of a squid? You can't beat that.
And he's right, and that's how we discovered them. They didn't understand what those markings were on those whales until they.
Yeah, they didn't even know what the hell that purpose of having that big blunt head was. They never knew. Now they know.
Yep.
Bro, 8 miles, Craig. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. It's like 2.2 miles to the gas station up the street. When I got to walk, I'm dead. I can't imagine swimming 8 miles down on one breath with the compression. So, yeah, think about their bodies.
One breath.
Fuck, yeah, and their bone structure, the density of that animal. When's the last time you really heard about the sperm whale other than Moby Dick? Those animals are just amazing, and there's not a lot known about them.
They were always my favorite as a kid.
Yeah, there's no way to keep up with that unless we take there's certain submarines that you can take down there to see them. But my God, to even learn their pattern or where they track or how they migrate, I mean, it's tough. That's an intense.
But animals sometimes, man, they don't want to be mean. They want to play, right? They're not always being mean. I think they're misinterpreted a lot, and people hurt them. And
yeah.
So it's like maybe they really were seeing dugongs, and they were putting wigs on them, Brittany.
No, there might have been some that were getting cabin fever, but I can tell you that there is no way because
I can tell you a true story.
The journals, they wrote about these things that they saw. I mean, my God, I have documentation from sailors who talked about lights that moved the water that would guide them, and it was not bioluminescent. They
were aliens.
Yeah, they were talking about whatever it was, and we're talking
with an Alien. It's a good song, Joe Satriani.
11th, 12th century.
It's really good, Brittany.
Of writing talking about this. I'm just being honest about true USO activity. So we're talking. People just are way too close-minded these days. We need.
Well, they have to be. That's how you control them. You can't believe in anything. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that. But I'll tell you a true story. This really happened to me. So one of my really good friends that used to live with me, he's a real big dude. He's like 6'2", about 400 pounds, and we were up in Blue Springs, Craig.
Big Stu.
And he had a whole wetsuit on, and it was like gray. And I was coming back up from the dock, and I was swimming, and here comes a herd of manatee. I guess that's what they call them. And I saw this one manatee. She like glared over at us, and I looked at Stu, and I think she thinks you're a manatee. True story. She swam over so fast. I never got out of the water because manatees don't make me nervous. But he climbed the pole to get away. All she wanted to do was come over and see what he was, and so she came up, and I'm like, oh, shit, she's right here by my shoulder. You know, you're not supposed to touch him, so I never touched him. But he was up on the pole, but this thing literally thought. So can you imagine? I mean, now that story, 1,000, 100 years from now, it's going to be different. It's going to be like manatee hybrid man makes love to. So when you hear weird stuff, there's a lot of crazy things, but I think when you hallucinate, Brittany, and you're dehydrated and you have a lot of water, when you see a beautiful glistening dugong swimming, it looks like a naked lady. Now you got a boner, you're jumping in there. Then you realize what you've done, but you keep the story that you saw a mermaid because you were so fucked up that you fucked a dugong. You can't tell anybody. So when it gets back to the mainland, they tell the story, oh, old Sailor Bill, he found a mermaid, he fucked it. And it's stuck that way. All told in all the pubs, all the fishermen, and all 1,000 years down the line, it was this beautiful mermaid siren that sang songs when it was just screaming because it was being fucked.
How can you fuck a mermaid?
That's what I want to know, Brittany. I've never even seen their genitalia. It's like a fish thing.
I got flagged on Instagram for posting a video of a mermaid that was like,
that's right. I forgot
possibly
that.
not like a CGI, and they were telling me that I was flagged for posting this because I was misrepresenting what a real mermaid was, and I was like, do we know?
Just a dirty old fisherman, Holly. I'm serious. I'm the one that's saying that. I can be the elephant in the room. I think these guys were out there pounding dugongs, man.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, Craig. I feel like they do weird shit like that. I know what they do over in the Middle East and some animal.
I'm not saying that didn't happen on the ocean. What happens on the ocean stays on the ocean. I'm not saying that. And they made up stories.
Yeah. Pacific and Atlantic Vegas.
There are certain things that were documented and written down as they were astonished.
Protecting their friends.
No, they were.
If Jeff and I jumped off the boat to fuck a dugong and Craig was there, he would document it as a mermaid to protect his friends.
It's on Facebook next day.
But if you have document after document of people, all these people are not going to be taking the same
How did I get
bill.
in the water with the mermaid?
You know, John Candy had some fun with a mermaid.
Was it John Candy?
Yeah, he was in the movie. Him and Tom Hanks, man. John Candy was my favorite. He would like drop change and look under ladies' dresses and stuff. He was just hilarious. John Candy was the shit. But yeah, just because of Splash, I thought of that. But you know, there's a lot of that mermaid stuff. I don't know about mermaids. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that there isn't something that could be some sort of a subhuman thing that lives. I don't know that.
I know if you subhuman.
So I'm not going to doubt anything until I know for sure because I don't know. But nothing is impossible anymore, in my opinion. I mean,
exactly. Everything is possible until proven impossible, completely impossible. So I always leave a really open mind to everything, especially when it's historically documented. That's the only thing
Holly.
I pay attention to.
That's horrible. But yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, there's probably some neat shit out there. I think it's okay to believe in conspiracy theories. I think it's okay to think that there's a bigger picture. You know,
the deep ocean animals, like the fish, all the blind fish and stuff with their like little light lures, and I mean that's some cool ass.
There's like it's all relative to where it's from or if it's real or not. Because like there's like the deep southern churches, the Baptist churches, they do all the snake handling. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's the same. They handle snakes in the Catholic Church too. It's just a different kind of handling of the snake. You know what I mean? But they're still touching snakes, and I think that's where it goes. You know what I mean?
Smaller snakes.
I told you, a lot smaller, and that's why all the altar boys, Brittany, have a part in their hair. They get blessed.
This is not where it's to go.
Just thought I'd tell you, but I mean, I'm just saying. So it's real. Those things are real, but a lot of it's covered up, and a lot of things are different and stuff like that. So I mean. At the end of the day, I think it'd be awesome to go out and see stuff. Now, listen, I will tell you that we did live in the Rockies for a little while, a couple of years when Brittany was really little. My dad had taken a job with IBM branch out there for a little bit to go do some work there, so we ended up staying there. And I did see some stuff that I have to question out there, man, that, as far as like, wildlife and stuff. And there were these family there called the Collards, and there was this 90-year-old man named Claire. And he would always like, oh, you can find arrowheads out here and stuff. And if you climb, all the way up here and you look down. And we did, Craig. We found a meadow. We went behind our 17 acres, straight up the cliff. We found a beautiful meadow with a rock pool. And when you went to the edge, there was like this humongous 100 and 115-foot drop down the sheer wall. But in the ground, you could see these big circles where they did have a dwelling there of Native American stuff. So I knew he wasn't lying. So he would tell us these stories, but he would talk about growing up there, and he would see skunk apes and Sasquatch and stuff. And I'll tell you, man, I can't lie. There's been some times that we were up there and it was dark and there were some things that I couldn't to this day go, oh, yeah, that was a mountain lion or that was a bear. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I can't say yes or no, so I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. The only weird thing that ever happened to me, well, two things up there. One could have been a bear for sure. One could have been a bear for sure. We were up on the edge. We were looking down, my brother Josh and I, and we saw what looked like a bear digging around down at the very bottom of the valley. And my brother's like, look, a bear. And I'm like, oh, fucking cool. Well, he like starts screaming, and then it like looks up, but it stood up like a person, walked towards the cliff wall where we couldn't see him anymore, and we took off. Now, bears stand up too, very far away, but it was really odd that he stood up and he just walked. I'm like, oh shit, maybe it's we thought as kids, Bigfoot, fuck, Mr. Claire was right, Mr. Claire. And we just run for your lives, tumbling down rocks or dying over there. And then one time Josh and I went hiking up and we were way up there, and there was like this cave thing. We heard what we thought was like an infant crying, and then we started going in there, and we heard this heavy like doom, doom, thudding in there, and we got scared and ran. And I remember running, and I kept hearing these like heavy foot behind us. Like it could have been anything. I didn't turn around, but I do remember going boom, 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 boom. And I was like, fuck, we're dead. Whatever was in there, we're dead, And I'm in my head, I'm like, what makes that sound? Mountain lions, babies? What makes that sound, Because we're like, holy fuck, what we get into? It was weird.
Was it 2 feet?
Imagination running, but those things happen no matter how I perceived them, they still happen,
I remember I was out of town and Mom and I were feeding, I mean, we used to hear deer dying, and it was really horrible.
Yeah, they screamed, dude.
It was awful. So if you've never heard it, it's like terrifying, especially to a child. And bobcat chatter sounds like two pissed off people in a really bad fight, but they're and so like, all these different noises we all knew growing up. But like one night we were out feeding the llamas on the right side of the house where our back porch actually like met to the dirt. Troy knows what I'm talking about. And I'm on one side of the fence about to hand my mom the grain bucket, and my mom's on the other side by the barn. And literally across the street by our neighbors, the Scheidels, which is not really like, again, it's a few acres, but it's like right across the street on the mountain road. We heard this horrific scream, gurgled, burrow, gargle.
Oh, that was a real murder they were just doing in the mountains. That's all that really, that's what that was.
No, but I mean, like it sounded like it was directed towards us, like a warning. And I literally remember dropping, I mean, it made all of our hair stand up. I never heard anything like that. And I dropped the green bucket, ran inside the glass doors, and Mom ran in the barn. But I remember I waited a minute, and then I came out because I was like, I just killed Mom.
I mean, you got to understand, guys, we were like 30 miles into the Rockies. Yeah. When I knew my parents bought in the middle of the mountains, dude, when it got super cold, we had to live off of a wrought iron stove. I'm telling you that. Yeah, we were in it was the very beginning of building that far out. Like it took them years to put power lines in before those houses. I mean, so it was nuts. Remember that. There was an occasion in the first house that we lived in that we were outside, Jeff, and somebody screamed like a grown man over and over again running through the woods. My dad did make us all go in the house, and I still don't know what that was. So I've always been intrigued by it. I think it's, I've been intrigued, but there's some sounds that just aren't supposed to be out there.
That's funny.
Yeah, and they do. Paranormal investigators get scared of animal voices, but I mean, there was some stuff up there. That place was actually really cool. That area up there. I mean, it was. I'm telling you, Jeff, like it was house 10 miles later, be another house. I mean, it was. You were out there. You were at whatever lived the fuck out there is mercy. Period. End of story. We were out there, but I had some great times. The sky was black. You could see the Milky Way. I'll never forget it. It was just really awesome. You climb up on the roof and you could see Denver 45 miles away, which looked like an orange embers glow through the valley. It was just, it's a beautiful time. Beautiful.
Listen, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but I will say, for anybody who believes in Santa, there was a memory I have with my brother, and I'll remember it to this very day. This was the soft spot of him that I loved as being just a good big brother.
Oh, okay. As long as it's something good. When I ate the cookies.
No, we were up on the top. My parents lived on the third level, and they had like their own walkout balcony. And my brother took me on that balcony. And because, like he's saying, our sky was so clear because we didn't have any of that city glow, like you literally be out there. But as a little girl, I still believed in Santa and the red-nosed reindeer. Now as an adult, I'm like, it was a freaking plane. But it just so happened to be at this perfect time that my brother was like talking about Santa. I had to get to bed because he was coming with, the gifts and stuff like that. And it was really important that I went to bed. And as he pointed, he's like, do you see that red light? That's Rudolph. He's circling. You've got to get to bed.
He's going to see us.
Oh my God.
Running out of fuel.
He's going to see us. We're out here.
Yeah. I did. I ran inside and he goes, so you got to get to bed. You got to get to, and I, to this very day.
Well, I'll tell you something, Craig, that we should do.
Favorite memories because it was timed so perfectly. But as a kid, I really believed it. He was like, I just thought, oh my God, my brother spotted Rudolph. He's got fantastic eyes. Well, oh my God, I've got to go to bed.
What we used to do to Brittany.
Oh, you tortured me.
One of my favorite things, like, because her hair would always be really mad, and she'd get out of bed and she'd try to copy my mom. She'd wear a robe, and she would like pour her cereal. And all me and my friends would get up, man. She'd be sitting down to get ready. And we just fart in her cereal and fart in her orange juice, and every day. And she was so not like a kid. She would be like, "Are you kidding me? Are you serious right now?" And she'd slam shit down. She'd go, "Mom, they're passing gas in my cereal." It was just the best day. It was the best way to start your day. And I remember her pouring orange juice one time, and my buddy Bill walked by, and she's just holding the cup, and I grabbed it. He's like, "Ramp!" He rips in the cup and hands it to her, and she's like, "Are you kidding me right now? I have to wash this."
Holy shit, dude.
So every day we would just torture her with that stuff. It was, being a little fucker like that. But it was, she's like wearing a grown-up robe and shit, trying to be all adult, drink her fake coffee, and we'd just fart in her cereal. And she would just be like, "Are you kidding me? Mom, they're passing gas." Because she wouldn't say fart. It was funny.
They were in so many bowls of Lucky Charms. It's not even funny. Like
Rue
I would
Rue just hit the whole refrigerator. Like, normally you get up, you throw a leg and you blast off. You get it done before you're done. That's why we call the bed the fart sack. But back in those days, we would save it till we got upstairs to get to you because
I know.
what better way to fire off the day, man?
I used to think to myself, what are they eating that curled up and died in there that just did this on my breakfast? Like, it was so bad. I used to hate it. I would try and
Bill used to drink a lot of beer. That's probably
I used to
why he's so bad. But there's more of the sound and to watch your hair move in your face. That was mostly
Yeah, the hair moves and stuff.
Yeah, well, my hair. I just washed it. No, you didn't. You didn't wash your hair. So.
We have legitimate footage of that, by the way. We have legitimate footage of that of me in the kitchen in my robe pouring.
I did that too, Craig. I wrote a bad note how terrible her cookies were that she made, and that she should be ashamed of herself. I did that too. I ate them all and then wrote this horrible note, and she was reading it in the morning. Like it was reading it in the morning, man.
Dude, you should have fucking filmed your entire life. You could have made millions.
Dude, we would do terrible things. My poor parents. I mean, I'm serious. We could get into a lot of things that make the show 3 hours. We've all been there. We've all done things. We've burned down homes and properties. Mom, you remember? Mm-hmm. We blamed it on somebody's cigarette, but you all found out what happened there. And so, we've done a lot of things, and I'm surprised that somebody didn't have a stroke or we died because, my God, torturing people and pranks. I'm just glad that Elf on a Shelf wasn't a thing in my family.
You would have got coal every year, man.
We've done some Elf on the Shelf stuff.
Elf has been put away permanently because the first year would have ruined Elf on the Shelf.
Don't you have Elf on the Shelf for your kids? Brittany?
What?
Don't you have Elf on a Shelf for your kids?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But he does.
I don't remember Elf on a Shelf till later. I don't know anything about that. Did they have that when you were a kid, Craig? Because I don't remember it.
No, that's not. That doesn't even around when I was a kid. That's all new.
He comes in a box, you know what I mean? And he's put up.
You got to move him every night, and if you forget, they go, "Oh, he's in the same place." You're like, "Well, he really likes it."
When I did the same thing to Heidi's daughter, who's on here watching. We did this whole thing about Elf on a Shelf. We wrote, "You're being terrible. I don't want to live anymore," or whatever. Like he was going to kill himself or something. We put it on the fridge. I'm still. I don't remember what it was, but Heidi will remember better than me because we were drawing it up and stuff. And he had a hard night, or his leg's broken, or something. And we were like, "I just don't like watching the stuff you do behind your parents' back. You should be disgusted." Like she was reading it. She's like looking at it on the fridge and looking at her mom. And I'm like, I don't know how Heidi had kept it together, but we did do that. It was pretty awful. But that's why I said Elf on the Shelf was a riot. If I had kids now, it would be. Go to YouTube and watch when the Elf on the Shelf rats on their kids. The parents read the note. There's a whole YouTube channel on that of the kids acting up, and the Elf on the Shelf writes a note, and that father goes, "Listen, what he wrote, Tim. Tim left his room at approximately 12 o'clock. I'm telling Santa to bring him nothing. You see the kid, he starts to freak out. No! He's freaking out because they're like, Santa's not going to be bringing anything because this kid's an asshole. You have to watch those videos. It's the greatest. And they get so upset. And then they're like, well, you need to change your tune. He's watching tonight. And then they get real good. And like, I'm sorry. And it's funny. It's definitely a way to make your kids good.
You know, this little stranger's watching you while you sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. It's Pam. What's up, Pam? How are you?
Hey, Pam.
We're getting more and more family here. And Pam's here. And Pam, awesome.
When we were
probably want to get off, Pam. You probably don't want to watch. Brittany's about to talk about stuff we shouldn't be talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to mute that camera, Brittany. I'm sorry. We can't do that.
She knows.
Goodbye, Brittany. We're muting you. I can't listen to it. Just kidding.
No, when Colin was really small, before we, like my stepson, before we even introduced the whole Elf on the Shelf 1 year, like when he got to 8 or whatever, I used to actually tell him that Krampus was real. And I read him the original like history of it. So I made him like for one Christmas, put it because he had such a bad Christmas one Christmas. And I was like, you better put your shoes out with an offering so that Krampus knows like you're trying really hard to be good. Like I like made him scared that Krampus.
Awesome praise. That's still Rachel. That's hilarious.
That's awesome. You know, you should have done if he was bad. You should have like put on a suit and thrown him in a sack like fucking Krampus would.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Shit out of him.
Oh my God! Like dressed up and went in his room and put him in the bag like he was going. He would have died. That kid would have died before you got him out the door.
Yeah,
he would have died. He would have died in that bag right there. I would have died in that bag if that happened to me as an adult.
Pranks.
Can you imagine, Jeff?
Because they're fun. Oh, dude, Ruby freaking is my little prankster, dude. She makes more pranks than me. I went to turn on the water one day and it sprayed all over my face, and I was late for school. So I left and I came back to, I got all the tools out to fix the sink, and I looked and she'd put tape over the fucking faucet so it would spray me in the morning.
Oh my God.
Dude, she's a trip, that kid.
That's good though, man. That's a fun thing. Craig, you got a little girl too. I'm sure she's getting to the age now where she really wants to mess around, play around with them.
Well, that's true, Troy. You did get caught.
Craig's daughter's a riot too. She knows a lot about animals. Let me tell you something.
She does.
She will challenge you, dude. I've talked to her. I'm like, wow, Craig, man, you told her everything. We can't teach her nothing now.
Oh yeah, she's fun and fucking PetSmart. Somebody will start yapping at me about reptiles. She's like, "You're barking up the wrong tree, buddy." That's what she'll say.
That's right. I remember that. Didn't she tell somebody that?
Yeah,
You're barking up the wrong. It was her, right? She said you're barking up the wrong tree. She just had enough.
Yeah.
I think
she likes to go through the pamphlets. They're little like pamphlets on how to, and she goes, "Dad, this isn't right. This isn't right." And she'll go to the guy. Hey, well, the guy who works there, Richard. We've known him for years. Richard, this isn't right. You need to change this. And she'll just lay it down. She get another one. Richard, no, put it down.
That's awesome. Yeah, see,
she hired to rewrite all the pamphlets for PetSmart.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah, he really is. Craig's a real dad.
PetSmart's talk about PetSmart like a flat Earth. I was talking to my mom the other day. I went in there. They want to ask you. I hate when they try to hustle you. What are you feeding your crickets to? So I get all serious because they don't know what the fuck I'm about to say. I'll go Laterostris.
Yeah.
Like what?
Right now? Those are called atolles. I go, no, it's called a Laterostris. And that's what I'm feeding. Can you give me some information on it? I'm new to the species. Now shut the fuck up and ring up those goddamn crickets. And don't tell me anymore because I wouldn't be in here unless it's an emergency. So fuck off.
Yeah.
When they do
we have a place.
When they jump you with clarity at the register, when they kind of like they ask you right to your face and like, I hate that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I do too.
Clarity.
Good night, David.
Night, David. Feel better.
Yeah, they do that stuff. What were you gonna say, Craig? You were starting to say something too. There's just a delay. That's all.
I hate going to Petco and PetSmart because they are. I mean, every once in a while, I've got this garter snake over here that I got out of Polk County. Beautiful. It's not a blue sided. I mean, she's turquoise from head to toe. She's beautiful, and she's eating mice. But every once in a while, I'll get her a goldfish, which isn't really good for her. But like maybe once or twice a year.
It's all right.
It's fun to watch.
Well, too much of that stuff, and they get that Lake Griffin alligator crap. They get too much building that thiamine and stuff like that in their system. But so I give her a goldfish, and the guy's like, well, our goldfish aren't for sale. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give it to an Oscar thing. I'm going to give it to a snake. What do you mean you're going to give it to a snake? I'm going to give it to a garter snake. Well, what do they eat? Like, fish. Fish. That's why I'm getting a fish. I'm going to treat her with a fish.
Makes no sense.
And what's even worse, my Petco, you can't get anybody to wait on you. So what I do is I call them while I'm in their department, in the little fish department. When they answer the phone, I'm like, yeah, I'm standing here waiting by the fish. I've been waiting for about 25 minutes to get some fish. Got anybody? And they go over the intercom for another 25 minutes. So then I just help myself.
Love it.
I'll just help myself and somebody shows up real fast.
I love it. Yeah, they're terrible in there now. They're terrible. And they're selling like standard ball pythons for $239. Yeah. Listen to the general public. You were getting ripped off. You can go to a feeder place and pick up a ball python for $1.50, and you can save its life.
There you go.
Over food.
They get them from certain people, and like the 2 or 3 Petcos I've been here, the ball pythons are always dehydrated. They're horrible.
Yep.
And when you say something to somebody, they're like, "Oh, well, we just got him." Well, I don't care if you just got him. Soak him or something. He's dehydrated. A water bowl is not going to suffice.
Nope. I love that stuff too, where they're like, they don't know anything, or they try to educate you. So
gross.
Luckily, we have a place called Pet Bazaar. If you ever get to Orlando, go to Pet Bazaar. Those guys know their shit.
I love that place. Oh yeah, man. I think it's off 436. I know Pet Bazaar.
Yeah. Yep. Castleberry.
Yep, I know exactly where.
I love that place.
They're still around, motherfucker. Good for them.
Yeah. Well, the owner passed away. Cancer passed away, but she gave it to her son. Shane runs it.
That's a great place. I cannot. That is
awesome.
so cool, man. I was going there in the 90s, Greg.
Yeah,
it's just early to mid 90s. I was going in there. You could get cool shit like gigantic anacondas, and remember, and big Burmese and shit that somebody would raise super tame, raise it up. It would get too big. They'd turn in. They'd resell it to you for like $300. Oh, I remember that.
Yep.
That's freaking awesome. So you can't do that
They do
anymore.
more wizards now. Than
You
anything.
get a
They had
bearded dragon.
Yeah, they do a lot of bearded dragons. And everybody does bearded dragons.
And leopard
But,
geckos and
Well, they had
That's
something
because
that
all the,
I can't recall what
furry
it was.
ones.
I didn't even know this existed, but they had a species of skink that mate for life. And I had no idea there was such a thing.
Yeah, me neither. Are you kidding?
yeah, they
No,
do that.
there were skinks, and but they didn't look like skinks, but they called them skinks, and they mate for life.
Huh.
Wow. See, so
They
that
were
needs
like
to be
1,500
rewritten.
pieces.
Now that's fucking pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like an earless
How about
monitor,
Especially with
How about
reptiles, it's
or the monitor that eats vegetables. What about that one, Craig? That's real.
Yeah,
Most people don't believe that, but there is a vegetarian monitor.
vegetarian monitor.
Yes. Yep. I
Is
forget
it-
the
is it
scientific
a
name, but it is a
monitor?
real animal.
A hipster beard.
Man, Troy, you remember Debbie back in the day? That would have made her dreams come true. She just always wanted an animal to eat vegetables.
Iguana.
Oh
Meat eaters.
God, we used to have. This is not even fair to bring that up, but long story short, we had a very severely mentally challenged woman that would come in and try to save all the animals and let them
Yep.
free. She
All
would
the
come into
time.
my shop. She would open up exhibits and let animals out. I mean, then she called the police one time and said that one of the iguanas were stuck in the wall and that it needed to be rescued. And I'm like, the officer's like, we know who Debbie is. We understand.
But she used to come in. What I loved about Debbie was she would come in and sit with me and explain to me how we could train our meat eaters to eat vegetables.
You just
It's
didn't
very
understand.
easy.
You
know, and it was
comprehend.
no, but it was
nutrition.
so cute because she really like just firmly
put it in their
believed she
mouth.
had it. Yeah,
Don't
she
chew it.
had it like scientifically, placed out, and I loved it. And Troy was like, "Oh, Debbie's
it was-
gonna
it was-
come
it
and
was
educate
definitely
us
weird.
again,"
It was definitely
But if she knew there was one out there, my God, she'd be like, "See, I told you, it can happen. It can
Yeah.
happen."
yeah. Well,
Would have made her
she's
day.
probably dead now, but
Probably should
we
be.
are running an hour and 36 minutes in, and I will cut it. I'm having fun though, and there's a lot of people here, and they're talking, so I'm having a good time, and I don't mind running over, but I just want to make sure that everybody
Hi, Ricky.
gets good and stuff. And who's
Oh,
Ricky?
what's up, Ricky?
Facebook user. I mean, his name. just
Oh,
said
Ricky,
Croc.
by the way, I don't know why it says Facebook was. Oh, well, because you didn't log in, you just clicked it. But yeah, there was a lot of that. The one that used to come in all the time that would cluck like in the movie Hereditary. You go, and
Yeah.
he'd stand by you. I used to love it when that guy would come in. He would always go up to my
Bruce.
mom and Brittany. He liked him.
His name
He
was
was
Bruce.
cluck at him just like that. Like, we're scared. I'm like, nah, he's just weird.
You know what I was worried about Bruce all the time on a quick note was
You
that he
even
was
remembered his name. Well, God damn it.
Yeah, I liked Bruce. He was so innocent, such a nice man. But what I felt bad for was that he was so trusting in people that when he would go to
Take his
pay
money.
for his food and stuff like that, he would be given money from his parents. And he was older. Obviously, he lived with his parents because of his
he'd give it all.
disabilities. He would literally put all of it out on the counter. And he didn't understand how it worked. He didn't understand the process of payment or what numbers meant. And so I used to think all the time, I'm like, he's going to do this to people and they're just going to steal from him and take advantage of this poor guy. So I always would count with him and like teach him how to count it and say, no, this is all that I need. The rest is yours. And he would get so excited that he still had so much money left. And I'm like, people are obviously stealing from you because you literally put up like $70 on this counter to buy $2 worth of little bird seed for your bird. Like, this is
You
crazy.
should have
to
kept
me.
it, Brittany. For God's sake, he was getting it for free anyways.
No, my God. I
My
was thinking,
God,
I
Brittany,
used
you
to
just
give
don't
him-
know. You're not looking at it right. That's an opportunity, and you don't take opportunity.
That's messed up. And you know it. You wouldn't have done it either. I don't want to hear it. That's messed up.
That's right. I wouldn't have done it either.
It's a murky.
Yeah,
Bruce was a nice guy. I just sat there and went, gosh.
but he would go
somebody
get
should take
more.
advantage
But
of
I
him.
mean, at the end of the day, I understand
know.
why you did what you did.
But
But
yeah, I just felt bad.
yeah, I guess I'll just wrap it up so that
Jeff just left. He didn't want to hear
He's
it
done.
anymore.
Here.
the Manic Satanic is gone. He has company. He was drinking wine.
I know I
I
saw
know
that.
that I know he's got company. The way he was drinking his wine, all sophisticated, I fucking know he has company. I could look at him and see him. He'd like slip it, and he'd be like, put it back down. I'm like, somebody's at his house. He's got somebody there. So now I feel bad that we kept him so long, man. Fuck. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm sorry.
They're laughing in the background.
Who's laughing? All right. Well, see, I was right, Mr. Sophisticated. I knew it. I could see it in his eye. But I've never seen him drink a glass of wine like that. All professional, like Sigmund Freud. about that Earth. I just love it, dude. I just love it.
How about that flat Earth?
We had a really good time, so we can end the show on a great time.
All right, y'all.
We appreciate everybody coming. Craig, thanks for jumping in because I've been wanting to bring you
Craig.
guys up and hang with you for a little bit.
Good to have you, Craig.
One of our first
You're
guys that ever really respected the Croc Show and followed us from day one when we were just on one little YouTube channel and we started trashing FWC and what they were doing to people. That's when it started.
Bye, Corey.
Craig was always there giving us all the info too, so I always got Craig's part of he's like the OG original group. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys coming in. It was cool to see everybody. Corey, thanks for staying. Michelle, Samantha, Holly, Daniel, everybody, David, everybody. We just appreciate you coming every week and makes me laugh.
Holly,
we have a great time.
That was a good show. Good funny show.
I love it. We had a good time. Everybody has fun. The's a lot here.
Michael.
Yep, Mr. Rick. Yep.
Yep.
Ricky Martin with a little.
Judy.
Yep.
Heidi,
Ricky Martin.
Pamela.
Pam. We got them all. So.
Everybody.
Cool.
We will close out the night. We'll see you next Tuesday. We appreciate everybody for being here and go ahead and rock out with your Croc out. Good night, guys.